Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Tuesday night training call. Own your story so your story doesn't own you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to do this call because it's so close to my heart. And I'm going to get into that story. But first, let's get into getting started. So this is for you. So take the next 30 to 40 minutes to just be here with me, be here, investing in you, taking the time for you. That is an act of self-love. And I'm so glad that you chose you tonight to do this for you. So as always, I like to take a couple of deep breaths so that we can get present. All right. So as we take a deep breath in, we're going to inhale love and all the positive energy and light. And as we exhale, we're going to exhale all of the crap from today. We're going to let all the crap that happened today, let it go so that we can be present and we can be fully here. Okay, ready? I'm going to do 3. Ready? Inhale. Always out through your mouth. Inhale through your nose, love, light, positive energy. Out. All the crap from today. One more. Breathe in. Hold it. Take a little sip. Let all the crap from today out. Okay. So let's do, this is my speech that I do live in front of people. It's not my training call, so I don't have my house cleaning notes in front of me, but I should know them by heart. And basically that is just take the time for you today. Have your, tea, your coffee, your water, or even wine next to you and just sit back and relax. This is for you. Close out all those tabs, especially Facebook, because if you're on your computer, of course, because Facebook likes to ding in and it's a distraction. You really want to be present with this call because there's loads of information in here. Okay, so let's get started. So as I was saying in the beginning of the call, by the way, my name is Denise Dominguez. If you don't follow me, you don't know who I am. And the reason that I actually have this as my signature speech is because, like I said, it's very dear to my heart because there was a time when my story was so full of emotional pain that I couldn't even utter a sentence, a few words without just breaking down and totally sobbing, doing the ugly cry, like Oprah says. And it was when my mentor was like, Denise, you have to do this. And so the short version of that, because I'm going to get a little bit into it, is that I was coached into getting it out, and it was an instant release, and it just got better from there. So that is the message of this. When you release that emotional negativity inside of you, it gets better. But it's that first step that's scary, or it may seem scary, but with the help of somebody who could hold you accountable and, give you the advice and insight that has been through it or knows what the outcome is going to be, you can do it. And it's not that bad, actually. It really isn't. Because that was only 2014, and here I am, 2017. So how many of you have experienced divorce in your life directly or indirectly? Because that's where my story starts. And that's where, that's where I thought my story started, was my divorce. And my divorce is real and it sucked. And it has all the ingredients for a Lifetime movie. It really does. Not only was there a divorce, but there was mental illness, suicide attempts, anger, love, passion, and a string of emotions along the way. And it was through my painful divorce that I built my coaching business. Through my mistakes, struggles, and ultimately triumphs, I am now helping women all over the world with their stories. So through my coaching, online interview series, I had a radio show for almost 2 years. I've been a co-author of a few books, and speaking, I am able to help these women heal themselves and their past stories in order for them to create a life that they now love and adore. But I had to do the work on me first in order for me to truly be able to help others. And one of the first things that I did, one of the first things that I had to do was own my story. No, it wasn't easy. And yes, I was scared to actually go there. But before I tell you how I did that, I first want to get a little bit into the backstory, into my backstory. So when I was just 19 years old, I fell in love with this man. We were head over heels for each other. We loved the same foods and the same music, and we loved spending time at the beach, and we spent every waking moment together. Everyone around us could see the love that we had for each other. It was truly magical. We got married, and 2 years later, we brought home our baby girl. And 1 year later, we welcomed our baby son into the world. Life was great. We bought our first house literally days before our daughter came home from the hospital. And as our family grew, our space needed to grow too. So we bought our second home, which was a beautiful 4-bedroom, 2-bath pool home on a cul-de-sac street in suburbia, USA. This neighborhood was just immaculate. It was, every lawn looked like a golf yard, a golf course. Every house was so well taken care of. It was the kind of neighborhood you see on TV, right? Where people wave hello, and even if you don't know them, and just an all-around delightful area. This was where we wanted to raise our family. You see, from the outside view, we looked like we had it all. Big house, pool, nice cars. We traveled all around the state that we lived in. We looked like your average, ordinary, middle-class, happy family. Loving couple, 2 kids, 1 cat, 1 dog. But that was what we looked like from the outside. On the inside, there was chaos, debt, arguing, mental abuse, emotional abuse, addiction, and attempted suicide, just to name a few. I was trying my best to keep our family together, never thinking of myself and what the consequences would be to my children and I. But with each passing day, it got worse and worse. It seemed like the harder I tried, the worse it got. We lived in this house for nearly 10 years, and this was where our lives started to take a turn for the worse. I was approaching my 30s and asking myself, what was my purpose in life? Who am I? I mean, I knew that I was their mom and his wife, but I had an identity before them. So who am I now? I didn't have the answers to these questions. This was the beginning of me feeling lost in life. And during this time, I was more and more dependent on my husband financially and was putting up with more and more of his bad behavior. And he was more and more emotionally dependent on me. How many people here on the call have looked at that quote unquote perfect couple or that quote unquote perfect family and thought, wow, they really got it going on, right? From the outside, everything looks great. They look like they have everything in order. We all have thought that, right? But here's the truth in my story. I tested positive for STDs 3 times in my life, and all 3 times I was married. 2 of those times were when I was pregnant with our babies, and the 3rd time was about 9 years later. Can you see why I was so ashamed and embarrassed? And by the way, this is the first time that I'm saying this out loud. You have to own it, ladies. It's your story and it's your journey. I can't tell you how ashamed I was to utter those words, to admit even to myself that that's what happened. So much denial in that one piece right there. And so much shame. And especially when I left my marriage, 22 years, I was very ashamed. Like, how could I put up with that? Why? What was I thinking? Why would I do that? But, when you're in it and you're trying to make things work, you don't see the whole picture for what it really is. And it wasn't until I was out of it. In fact, it wasn't until I was out of it for about 2, maybe even 3 years before I really saw everything for what it was. I ignored the truth. And if I were to face the truth, I knew what I would do then. I would leave him. And I didn't want our family to break up. So I dismissed this positive STD as a mistake. Correction, 3 mistakes, 3 separate times. And I noticed that he was, sleeping more and dozing off during a conversation, and he would start talking randomly, almost like, when you talk in your sleep, mumbling. Again, I ignored all these red flags. I ignored that his watch alarm would go off every 4 hours and that he would take a pill or pills. I never asked what he was taking. I never questioned him at all. I knew the truth, but I was so good at pushing it far back in my head and solely focusing on raising our family. How many of you have ignored the red flags in your life? I wasn't ready to face the truth. You weren't either. So that's where I want to, that was all part of what I talk about in front of women, but I want to stop there because I want to get to some deeper stuff that I talk about, which is the emotional pain that I had, and that if you don't own your story that you have, and it's not only keeping you back and stopping you from living a life that you could have, like your dream life, really, but also it's also manifesting itself inside of you. And that could be, like I described in the Facebook Live, it could be aches and pains, it could be unhealthy relationships. So when I get a potential client on the phone, if you've seen, I do 90-minute coaching calls. They're absolutely free. And when I get a woman on the phone, I want to bring that awareness to her. And so part of owning your own story is owning all of you and loving all of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And so as I was saying earlier, we push that part of us down, right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine you have 3 daughters in front of you, okay? And 2 of your daughters are so near perfect, it's crazy. They are just great girls. They do their homework when they're supposed to. They set the table. You don't even ask them to. You never have to micromanage them. They're awesome. They're great. They make their beds. And then you have that one daughter, right? You have that one kid that knows how to work your last nerve, try your patience. And it's not because she doesn't love you or she doesn't like you. That's just who she is. So my question to you is, would you take that one daughter and lock her down in the basement and not raise her with the other 2 daughters? Of course not. But that's what we do to ourselves. So the 3 girls are versions of you. And the girl that is down in the basement is the part of you that you've pushed down and not dealt with, that emotional pain, whatever that is. So in the beginning, for me, it was my divorce story and everything that I had gone through in my 22-year marriage. Well, it goes deeper than that because, as you know, everything stems from our childhood and the way we were raised and where we come from and how we were raised. And now, before I go into this, I want to just say this as a disclaimer. There's no shame and there's no blame on our parents or anybody for that matter. It is what it is, right? So this is not a bashing anybody. But in order for me to attract my ex into my life, that came from the way I was raised and my beliefs about me. So the one daughter that's down in the basement, what she does, that version of you that you've pushed down, what she does is she bangs on the basement door. She lets you know that she is there. However, she does this in unhealthy ways. So imagine you have a beach ball, right? And what happens every time you try to push down the beach ball and underneath the water? You try to submerge it. It pops up every single time. You could push it down further and further. You could try to sit on it. You could try to step on it. It always pops up. That's how she shows up in unhealthy ways. She will always let you know that she's there. So the unhealthy ways could be unhealthy relationships, extra weight, finances, like I said, aches and pains, even diseases. This is all negative emotions that you've stuffed down, right? So the good news is that you can take care of all of this. You can even reverse the diseases because everything you need to heal yourself is inside of you. That's a fact. So when I get a potential client on the phone, when I get a woman on the phone and I talk to her about this, I pull out the energy of the one that she is denying. So I want you to imagine a triangle, okay? And at the top of the triangle, you have woman energy. Woman energy she's on fire. She's got it going on. She's got the healthy relationships. She's got the healthy boundaries in all of her relationships. Her finances are in order. She's just got it going on, right? And then at the bottom, the two corners on the bottom of the triangle, you have daughter energy and you have mother energy. And daughter energy is everything you expect from a daughter. She's irresponsible. She's a drama queen. She's a troublemaker. She was a rebellious teenager. She's a scared child. Narcissist falls under child energy. And addict falls under child energy. And then mother energy, it's everything you expect from a mom, right? She's a rescuer. She's a worrywart. She's a chubby bubby. And these three in the triangle, the woman, daughter, and mother, are three archetypes of how we show up in the world. And I hope this is making sense so far, and I hope I'm not going too fast. So right now, ladies, if I am going too fast or you don't understand what I've covered so far, please put in the chat box that you're clueless. Let me know. Okay, I don't see any remarks. So hopefully you're all following. Okay, great. So, all right. So we have the three archetypes, and then I mentioned some of the sub-archetypes that fall underneath the daughter and mother. We don't focus on woman energy because that's the part of you that is healed. That's the part of you that's got it going on. She's good to go. We don't need to focus on that. What we need to focus on is the two corners of the triangle, mother and daughter. And so I go through an exercise, And through that exercise, which is like a series of questions, just about 6, and then based on the answers that you give me, I pull out the energy that you have pushed down, the part of you that you've pushed down. So I'm going to use me as an example. When I first did this exercise, it's called a trigger exercise. My trigger was my ex, and what triggered me about him was his me, right? Because he chose his needs and his addiction and his whatever over his own family, his own children. And so that falls under narcissist. Okay. And so then there's a healing part to this exercise that I do with my clients. And the healing exercise is, now what I'm about to say is, it's counterintuitive to what we know about affirmations, right? Affirmations are, I am beautiful. I am enough. I am a money magnet. I am or I have, right? That's what we know about affirmations. But in order for you to own all of you, own your story, you have to own the parts that you don't like about you. You have to. And so this was a part of me that I denied, didn't like, didn't even really see. I actually didn't even see it. So when I go through this trigger exercise and I ask who triggers you, and for me it was my ex, and then one of the other questions is, well, who acted like this when I was growing up? And so for me, it was my mom. She acted like me. Everything was about her. And so now the pieces of the puzzles are being connected. Now it's all making sense. And so the healing piece to this is to go in and say, I am a narcissist, which, like I said, that counterintuits what we know about affirmations. But here's the point of this. When we do this, we are acknowledging that part of me, that part of you, that part of us that we've pushed down and we've locked in the basement. And because I couldn't see that about myself and about my mom, that's why I was attracting that energy into my life. So think of a person that triggers you and ask yourself, what triggers me about this person? And then you can actually figure out, well, you might need my help, so get on a call with me. But I'll be more than happy to help you through that. But that's what you would do. You would ask, who triggers me? Okay, and you think of that person, and it's the first person that comes to your head. So don't think into it. It's the first person. What triggers you about that person? What is the behavior? What are the characteristics? What do they do? And then you go in and figure out which archetype they're falling under. And more specifically, what sub-archetype are they operating from? Because every relationship that we have is a mirror of us. That's a fact. And when people trigger us, it's actually a gift, because what they're doing is they're showing us our wounds. And so this is what I do for my clients, and this is what I teach. I teach, or I coach on how to heal those wounds. Because the fact is that we're all wounded. We're all wounded. Every person you know, every person you see out on the street is wounded. Now, my wounds may be deeper than yours, or vice versa. We all have different levels of the wound, how deep it is. Now, when we're born, however, we're actually born with a healthy emotional body. We're not wounded when we're born. It's when we get to about 4 years old and over that we take on the messages, the beliefs from others, the lies of others, and we take that on as ours. And so I call them layers of muck, like an onion. It's layers of muck, layers of shit, right? And so what I do is I help you peel back the layers. Peel back the layers one by one. You have to get to the core of who you really are. And the core of who you really are is love. You're forgiving. You're passionate. And that's why I teach self-love. You have to love yourself and put yourself as a priority. And I know as a mom and a woman, that may be difficult to hear. I know it was for me in the beginning because I had always put my children first. I'd always put everybody first, really. Denise was on the back burner. But you can't pour from an empty cup. So when you're taking care of everybody else, you can't, and you don't take care of yourself, eventually you get drained and you can't take care of them as well as you would if you were taking care of yourself first. So owning your story is owning all of the parts of you. It starts with your story. That's the beginning process of healing. To go in and say, this is what happened to me, and share it. Whether you share it with somebody you trust or type it out, get it out. Just get it out. You can even meditate through it. You have to get that out. I know for me, when in the beginning of this call, when I was talking about my mentor, I'll go a little bit deeper with that story. So when she said, Denise, you have to tell your story. I mean, how are you going to be a coach? How are you going to coach women? Because I knew what I wanted to do right away when I started getting into the coaching, when I got into my coaching program, which was women, divorced women was my niche. How are you going to coach women on healing them if you can't even talk about your story? You have to do this. And so I pushed through the resistance. I reluctantly told my story. And I remember typing it to her in an email and saying, with a shaking hand, here I go. With shaking hands, here I go. And I told my story for the first time. And yes, I cried. And yes, it was painful. But I was releasing the poison in me. And that's what you do when you tell your story, is you release that poison. That emotional pain is poison. You're releasing that poison. And sometimes you release it a little bit. Sometimes you release it a lot. You need to cry through it. That's okay. Crying is a release. It's a cleansing. It's good for you. Right? So here we are, already 28 minutes into the call. Let me see if I'm going to cover any of this that, probably not, because the point that I wanted to get to you guys was owning your story and the importance of releasing that poison, that emotional pain. And that we all have emotional pain. We all have it. It's not just in one of us. So I am going to unmute and see if anybody has any questions, comments, or if you need any coaching. Now is your time. I hear a baby.
That's my grandbaby.
Did everybody understand and follow me when I was talking about the triangle and the archetypes?
Yeah.
Okay. Does any of that sound familiar?
Yes. Very much so.
Well, you can get on a call with me. I will work through that with you.
Yeah, I will. Soon.
Awesome. Okay.
Soon.
So do you have any questions or anything you want to say now?
Nope. Very interesting, though. Very interesting.
Good. I'm glad. It's a process.
Very much so.
Yeah. Healing is a process. And I know that knowing you, I mean, from childhood, but there's, I know losing somebody so early on, that's a huge wound. That right there.
Yeah.
That maybe wasn't dealt with, because everybody deals with it. And especially because you guys were all so young. That was unexpected.
Right. Yeah.
So there's probably some unfinished business there where that's concerned.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, just like we all have some unfinished business in our lives, we carry that with us into adulthood, and then we just keep pushing it down because, okay, now I'm an adult, I have to work and pay bills, and now I'm an adult, I'm a wife, I got to focus on my marriage, or I'm a mom, or I'm a grandma, or whatever.
Right.
And it just keeps getting deeper. It keeps getting pushed down deeper and deeper and deeper until, then it manifests, like I said, even into diseases.
Yeah.
So
that it does.
Huh?
I said that it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, I'm gonna hook up a call with you though.
Awesome.
Soon.
Okay.
But I'll let you know. But I enjoyed your show. It was awesome.
Awesome. All right, Isha.
All right.
So anybody else has anything to say, they can speak up now, forever hold your peace. And you can go on my YouTube channel because I upload all of these on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
So everything that I cover on Tuesday nights is on my YouTube if you want to take a look and see what topics I cover.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know how to get in touch with me if you want to do that call.
Okay, I will.
All right. Awesome. It was good seeing you.
Nice seeing you. Bye-bye.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.